Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is a place for conversations about balancing a healthy lifestyle and being happy. More specifically, happy hour. Together, we'll explore all things wellness and wine. I hope you learn a little, laugh a lot, and along the way, know you're not alone on this balanced wellness journey. Ready to jump in? Pour something in your glass that makes you happy because it's time for Spandex and Wine. Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney. On my last retreat, I was looking for an experience at a winery to share amazing wine and not have to drive from winery to winery. I found that and way more with Hill Country Wine Tours. The co-owner, Dave Love, is my guest today on the podcast. You'll hear how we started this fun business, more about my experience that day, and that we will once again be using Hill Country Wine Tours for our upcoming wine camp trip in September. I can't wait to go back. I want you to be with us, so be sure to check out the show notes at the end. Here is Dave. Well, hey, Dave. Thanks for being on the Spandex and Wine podcast.
I'm very, very proud to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, I couldn't wait. And first of all, Dave Love, what a name. That's just amazing. It fits you.
It was a gift from my dad.
It definitely fits you. I should give a little bit of background as to how we know each other. I met you from a retreat that I did. I hosted last September in Texas Hill Country, and I just found you. Actually, I called a particular winery, and they had said, "Oh, you need to call Dave with Hill Country Wine Tours." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." And so I called you, and we set everything up. And our experience with you was amazing. And I knew right when I met you that I wanted to have you on the podcast.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, we're very grateful that it was a fond memory for me too. And having all your ladies down, it was really a really fun time. And I'm looking forward to September. It's going to be a blast.
Yes, we are doing it again. We have a wine camp coming up. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But Dave, give us your story. Like, what was your vision with this? How did it start? And you've even opened up so many more opportunities.
Yeah, well, I had never thought in a million years that I would be in the wine tourism business, Robin. Okay. My background is I have been a executive record producer and music producer my whole entire career. I was very fortunate to work with a lot of big artists, kind of in the jazz space and the world music space. 36 Grammy nominations, 9 wins, including Best New Artist. I owned a record company for almost 20 years. And around 2012, 13, I had went into artist management after I had sold my record company. I was representing some big artists like the Buena Vista Social Club from Cuba and a lot of big African groups. I'm very fond of the music from Africa. I spent a lot of time over there. I told my wife, I think we should move from Ohio back to Texas. I don't want to live in a big city. How about the Texas Hill Country? So we had started that journey back in around 2014, 15. Our kids were about to graduate high school. Our son was going to go on the Coast Guard. Our daughter was going to follow us to Texas and go to my alma mater. And we came out here. We were empty nesters. We were out enjoying wine at night and having a few beers. And there was a little square, Georgetown, Texas, about 35 miles north of Austin. And we kept seeing these really wonderful people that like to get out on the square and have a good time. And during the weekends, we were out in the Hill Country looking for land. Mm-hmm. And once we came out here, we had no idea that we were going to stumble upon the third largest wine tourism destination in North America, 85 wineries within 33 miles, distilleries, speakeasies. We had no idea it was here. We had traveled the world, like I said, been to Africa many times, Europe. We were very fond of wine. We lived in Washington State for many years. And we just kind of put 2 and 2 together with those folks we kept meeting in Georgetown on their little square, and the fact that we could probably make some good friends. And invite them out to a day in the hill country.
Yeah.
So on a whim, we bought a van. We bought a 15-passenger van, and we didn't have it branded yet. It was the end of 2019. I was still heavily involved with the music business. My wife is a retail banker, and COVID hit,
Mm.
and our dream kind of got shattered. Nobody was going out.
Yeah.
The governor here in Texas eventually put it up to each county to deal with how they wanted to deal with the pandemic. Out here in the hill country, it's a lot of wide open spaces, a lot of big ranchers, a lot of big growers. And
Yeah.
people in Austin and San Antonio and other parts of Texas were starting to get a little stir crazy. So about July of 2020, the floodgates opened. I mean, opened where we had our one little van, and the next thing you know, we're having to lease other 15-passenger vans. And the next thing you know, we have 7 or 8 wine tours on a Saturday. Everybody
Wow.
gets on with a mask. They get out there after the first stop. All the masks are off. They're singing their favorite hits, and we're
Nice.
just having the best time. So we built our fleet up fairly quickly. All of our staff are seasoned professionals that come out of the service industry. They all live in Georgetown. And we eventually found our ranch, and we were originally just going to build a house here and live here because we love the beauty of the hill country, and the fact that it is still a little bit like the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
And as our business grew, we had more and more people that would come from all over the state, but all over the country, really. And oftentimes they would say, "Hey, Dave, where should we stay?" So I was giving away a lot of beds to a lot of different properties out here. And
Mm-hmm.
we decided eventually that we were going to open up hill country guest houses at Hacienda Amor. And
Nice.
we built 4 baby barndominiums, each with 2 bedrooms, king size beds in both, a kitchen, bath, patio, and no property could be complete without a tasting room patio. So when you come back
Yeah.
from your wine tour, we could keep it rolling. So we've been very fortunate with our wine tourism business. What makes us unique and sets us apart from most other wine tour operators in the state is that we will actually pick you up at anywhere you are in Central Texas. We take you out for a 3-stop tour. It always includes a lunch. We could do wine all day. We can do bourbon. We can do speakeasies. We can do wineries that make craft beer. And it's all private. So we only take people that know each other. We're not big believers in mixing a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
but we've been very fortunate to get out there and make a lot of relationships with these wineries and build relationships with our clients. And Robin, we're really, really grateful that we're going to be able to see you and the members that come along with you in September.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait because, like I said, the experience that we had last September was amazing. And I can't put it into words. As I'm telling the ladies that are getting ready to come on this trip, I'm like, just trust me, just trust me. So the first stop that Dave took us to last year, I felt like I was at like a fancy tea party. It was wonderful. We were taken back to this private room, and there were, oh gosh, I think 12 of us on that trip. So
Sure.
the table is laid out. The setting looks beautiful. We had the most wonderful guide at that stop. The food was delicious. We got to choose our food ahead of time. And then Dave took us to another winery that was so much fun. That's where we used the sword to take the
Yeah,
cork
we get
off of the
savory.
bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last stop was amazing. This when you said that you had visited Africa, I'm assuming like it was South African. The people
Yeah,
are South African, is that correct?
that is correct. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
called Untamed Wine Estate. They are a lovely power couple. Dane Sanvitos from Cape Town. He learned how to make wine in Stellenbosch, which is a very, very important international wine region. Um, he went to Europe after he graduated viticultural school, and then ended up in the United States and started to work for a very, very big company called Constellation Brands. They make wine, they make beer, they make everything. and he met a young lady that was a wine chemist there, and her name was Mackenzie. And Mackenzie had put in a transfer to go to New Zealand for Constellation Brands to do some chemistry work down there for him, and Dane followed her. And they got together, and they had decided they were kind of tired of corporate America, wanted to get back to what they both were passionate about. So they looked all over the country, and they eventually settled in Texas. And Dane says that the topography and the people remind him very much of his home.
Oh.
Mackenzie, not only being one of the bigger wine chemists in the state with well over 150 clients, where she tests all the different components, the chemistry components of wine, she was also a finalist in Master Chef. And a month ago, she had entered into the international pizza competition in the non-traditional pizza in Las Vegas. And out of 500 contestants, she came in third.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say at that stop, we were able to have gourmet pizza, and then we do the barrel room tour and tasting. It was a fantastic day. You did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we have lots of store and some different places to take you all this time, which is going to be really exciting.
Yes, yeah, that's coming up September 19th through 21st. I'll make sure I put the link to sign up for that wine camp. But Dave, one of the things that I'm really impressed with you about is that you realize the importance of relationships, and you have those relationships with all of those wineries. And I mean, you could just tell, right? When you took us in, they were like, all right, it's Dave's group. Let's really pamper them.
Yeah, I think it's important that we've cultivated a lot of great friendships. It's more than just a business. It's a family. I find in this wine industry, very much like the music industry, there is a camaraderie to see everybody succeed. And I had never really been in the service industry before, so there were lots of things that I had just taken from my previous career in terms of being able to travel and dine at fine restaurants and enjoy wine all over the world. That I just said, this is fairly easy for me to just want to please people, and you make your group made it real easy to please.
Well, we really appreciate you. You did a great job. Yeah, so the person that has traveled the world like you, and they're sitting here thinking, really, Texas wine, can it be that good? What would you say to that person?
Well, I would say that you would be pleasantly surprised on the amount of great wine that's produced here. So in Texas excels. We are the fifth largest grape growing state in the country. Number one being California, New York, but most of New York grapes are used for grape juice, like Welch's up in the
Yeah.
Finger Lakes. So we have two, they're called AVAs. So it's an American Viticultural Area. There are two of them in the state. The primary one is up in Lubbock, Midland, and Odessa. These are what they call the high plains of Texas. You're about 1,500 feet above sea level, much cooler nights, so they can grow kind of a larger amount of varieties. Here in the hill country, you're going to find mostly estate wines that can withstand the super high heat that we get here. Okay, so we could go over 100 degrees for a month. So the grapes that really do well here are grapes like Tempranillo, Tannat, Sangiovese, Mourvedre. Tempranillo is king. What a cab is to Northern California is a Tempranillo is to the Texas Hill Country.
Nice.
Robust red wine, lots of currants, lots of various flavors that come up through the earth here. On this stretch of road that I had mentioned, that 33-mile stretch of road, for years they were peach farms. And in the early 70s, both Texas A&M and Texas Tech had started. These are big agriculture schools. They're large agricultural schools in the country. They had started viticultural programs. So a lot of these farmers that were growing peaches, their kids or their grandkids went off to school there. and came back and said, hey, the sandy loam, the limestone, it's very similar to parts of Italy, Spain, and France. Let's have a go at growing some grapes. So in the early 1970s is kind of when it started. And, their wine at first was not very good. And it's a long game. It takes about 5 years for a grapevine to be able to produce the right fruit, a mature enough fruit. And then after you pick it, hand harvest it, or however you do it, you need to let it ferment in a barrel or a concrete egg or stainless steel. So it takes a while for this to happen. And then, of course, once these farmers started to make these grapes, they had to perfect the science, like what grape would really do well here. It was all experimental. So in the 1970s, there was a gentleman by the name of John McPherson. His dad, or there was a man named Doc McPherson, and he's passed on now, but he had two sons, both John McPherson and Kim McPherson. John McPherson is the winemaker for Carter Creek, and he's also a winemaker for two very large award-winning properties in Temecula, South Coast Winery and Carter Estate. His brother Kim owns McPherson Cellars in Lubbock. That's where their dad kind of started this whole revolution in wine. And he makes some really elegant wines, like really, really nice wines. Nice. In the hill country, again, right in smack in the middle of that 33-mile road is William Chris. And William Chris is the 56th top winery in the world, according to Food and Wine magazine. They are also the largest grower of Mourvedre, the second largest in the country, and the largest in Texas. There and a lot of wineries from New York, Virginia, Oregon, Washington, California have all moved into the area because of the growth in the tourism to set up tasting rooms. People say that it's kind of like Napa in the 90s. That we're kind of in the early stages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, it makes me even more excited about our trip and what we have coming up. If you wouldn't mind, share with the group or the listeners what we're going to be doing on our trip, because I think that we're starting all together because we're going to have at least 3 different vans, maybe 4. Hopefully we'll fill that up. So we're starting together on Friday, and then where do we go from there?
Yeah, well, we're all going to start together and have a lovely lunch and tasting at a beautiful property called Archway. It's a resort-style property. It's part of the Fiesta Wine Group, but they also have they also make cocktails there, and they make craft beer there. We are going to have a private experience for our group, and then we are going to split everybody apart, and we are going to touch upon 2 additional wineries for wine tastings, and we have kind of a slew of them that we're going to go to. We're going to do a treehouse experience at Sandy Road. Ultimately, we're going to do my friend Crystal Patel has a place called Mirestone Vineyards. She has a blacksmith shop from the early 1800s, and do a private wine tasting there. So we have a lot of different places we're going to take everybody, and it should be great. On Saturday, we are going to visit Untamed, and we're going to enjoy some of the pizza. We're going to drop you all in Fredericksburg to do some shopping. It's the ultimate destination in tourism here in Texas, an old German town. If anybody had ever watched the Yellowstone series, the prequel, the 1883, with the Germans that kind of went up to Montana, it all started in Fredericksburg, in the Texas Hill Country, with the Germans going up there. And then we're going to have a Hill Country happy hour at Blumenthal Farms with some cocktails, and yeah, lots in store. We can't wait to see y'all again.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I want to know a little bit more about your haciendas, because when we were there, you were just building, and we were at the lighthouse that you can look down the lighthouse and see your property. So you came up, took some pictures. That was so fun to have you. And it seemed like it went really fast because you guys were open for the eclipse.
Yeah, we did. We opened up the weekend of the eclipse. We had people from pretty much all over the world. At one point, we had a group from Spain, we had a group from Scotland. Um, yeah, we're so blessed. We had found this piece of property that we were originally just going to live on. We have some of the most stunning views in the hill country. It's very private. Um, and as we were giving these beds away, as I said, we thought, well, maybe it'd be kind of fun to host people on our place and do these all-inclusive wine weekenders or
Hmm.
vineyard vacations. So we kind of were fond of that barnuminium style. We liked the fact that it was a metal shelf, a metal roof, metal roof. We can get our own water, rain harvest, and we have the best water. We have the best water. So we built these 4 baby barnuminiums, and we named them after a Texas musical legend. Each one of them is got its own name. The first one is called
Okay.
Miranda for Miranda Lambert. Second one is
Nice.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. And then we have Waylon for Waylon Jennings and Willie for Willie Nelson. So that's how
Very
we
cool.
identify them. All of the artwork in each casita is, they're all custom made pieces that I have had made. I had some beautiful wooden cassettes with slogans on there that were made in Ukraine and shipped out of Kiev. I was happy to support an artist in Kiev.
Yes.
We have some really cool junk guitars. We have obviously paintings of those musical artists and little musical touches to kind of remind me of how I got here.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize your musical background when you first started talking about that. We didn't have that conversation when we were there.
Yeah,
So that's
oftentimes
really interesting.
I don't even share it because it sometimes becomes a distraction.
Oh, no, that's super cool. Super cool. So, how can the listeners find you? How can they book a tour with you? How can they book a room?
Yeah, well, we are Hill Country Wine Tours, hillcountrywinetours.com. Um, our social media has a Texas in front of it, so it's Texas Hill Country Wine Tours, both on Instagram and Facebook. Either the website or the social media can also lead you to Hill Country Guest Houses. Our ranch is Hacienda Amor, which means love ranch. Our last name. And yeah, we really we're passionate about showing people this area.
Oh, I love it. I'll make sure I put all those links in the show notes. I just have one last question for you. What do you typically pour in your glass that makes you happy?
I'm a big cab person, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So um, there are several cabs here that I enjoy. I would never be able to tell you which is my favorite because I might
Yeah.
upset another winemaker. But yeah, we really enjoy cabs. Tempranillos are great. Anything big and bold, we like. We
Yeah.
do drink a little white wine, but we're more on the red side.
Hmm.
But I also like my bourbon too.
Okay. That's cool. Well, I can't wait for Saturday that we get to do some different cocktails and things like that. That'll be so much fun.
Yeah, my friend Lily at Blumenthal Farms, she's an amazing mixologist. She really can make a great cocktail. They have a nice variety of cocktails. We on what is today? So on Sunday, I took 5 guests from Liberty Hill, Texas, and they wanted mostly spirits. So we started at Carter Creek. They had wine and beer and a lovely lunch. But then we went to Salvation Spirits, which is a really sexy kind of speakeasy. And then we went to Blumenthal Farms, and they were so impressed with our cocktails. They bought little bags, like little pouches, like IV bags, like 10 of them to be able to enjoy at their pool when they got back home.
Oh, okay. Cool. Nice.
Yeah, it's a
Nice.
lot. It's a beautiful property right on the House River. My friend Chelsea Crossland, she's the owner, and they have a lovely little gift shop. They have a cigar bar. They have a big tasting room. They have a little miniature golf. They've got, yeah, a variety of great things, and it sits right on the river.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's such a fun area. There's so many places that you can go. And I appreciate having someone like you make those plans so we don't have to do it.
And we drive, you guys can drink.
Yes. Yes, that's even better. Like that's just good for everyone.
For sure.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and time. I can't wait to see you again in September.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, please sign up, and we're gonna make a memory here. I promise you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a great day, Robin.
You too. I'm sure you heard the passion in Dave's voice for what he does. He is such an amazing host and makes sure that all of his customers have an unforgettable experience. We are returning to Texas, and Dave will once again be our host, not just for one day, though, but 2 days of tours. We will visit multiple wineries, plus a brewery, distillery. He's even going to drop us off in Fredericksburg for shopping. And we don't have to worry about drinking and driving or getting lost because he will be transporting us both days on Friday and Saturday. I've put together this experience with my friend Penny Fitzgerald with Penny for Your Shots podcast. Besides the fun tours on Friday and Saturday, we will also have a private tasting for our kickoff party on Thursday at a winery complete with a charcuterie board food pairing. On Saturday night, you'll want your boots and hat for the hoedown party, complete with a visit from Pistol Packin' Paula. In between, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about wine, join a few fitness classes, meet new friends, and connect with familiar faces. You can visit spandexandwine.com or check out the show notes for more information. As always, reach out to me with any questions at info@spandexandwine or text 913-392-2877. It will be a blast. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to follow Spandex and Wine so you don't miss an episode. To do this, just go to the podcast and click subscribe or follow wherever you are listening. Look for the plus sign or follow button. This is one of the best things that you can do for the podcast. If you'd also be willing to give a 5-star review, that would be amazing and much appreciated. Lastly, please share an episode with a friend or 5 to keep the love going, and join the Spandex and Wine community in our private Facebook group by searching Spandex and Wine. Feel free to reach out to me at any time by emailing info@spandexandwine.com or text me at 913-392-2877. I appreciate you. Thank you.